This is Willpower.
Beautiful, beautiful day. Whenever I get to hang out with anyone from the Silver Biotics leadership team, I'm here with Steve Revelli, and we are going to talk to you about the magical power of silver and some of the ways that we can use it topically to be able to bolster our health and well-being and to just keep ourselves optimally well. Welcome, Steve, to the show.
Well, thank you for having me again. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I love, we got a chance to sit down. So anyone who's listening to this now, if you want to get a little bit of a deeper dive on the adventures and crazy times of Steve Revelli, we broke that down a little bit in the first episode. We sat down, we talked more about the toothpaste and some dental care, oral care. And today I want to have you back on the show to give me an update on some of the exciting life and times that you're doing, because you always have these wonderful adventures outside of work. And then also really to break down some more detail on Silver Sol, which is this proprietary ingredient in Silver Biotics, and to speak more plainly to the topical solutions that you have, because as you know, I am big into sports performance and working with athletes and just these topical solutions, the muscle cream that's just come out, and really letting people know why it makes a difference for athletic performance and recovery.
It sounds great.
Cool. Okay, good. So tell me what's up. Tell me what's new with you.
Oh, heavens. It's been such a busy winter. Of course, my strange hobby. I'm an international bobsled and skeleton official, like we talked about. And I've done 21 races since November. So we went to Asia for 2.5 weeks, and New York for 2.5 weeks, and Park City for 2 weeks. And so I've been on the road probably more than I've actually been working. So it's been a great winter.
Busy winter season. And then did things start to calm down as you roll into spring and whatnot? Or do you still going in like helping officiate or support trainings?
Well, then I kind of switched gears to track and field. So I'm an NCAA official.
Yeah.
And I kind of switched gears to the warmer sports. So I get a nice tan out of that one.
It's amazing. It's like all this chief science officer and all of this other stuff all bundled into one. I just think, come on. What a life. The life of Riley. You're living the life of Riley.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, I love that you have this connectivity too to sort of the world of sporting and performance in this way, because it really helps you understand the application of these tools that you've created at Silver Biotics. And I want to unpack first, I think, the understanding around the Silver Sol technology, because I was lucky enough to come and tour the facility in Utah and saw this room of very exciting proprietary things going on. It was like lightning bolts in various containers, and, to share just sort of how futuristic and interesting it seemed, and just what was going on in that space, in that room. I know you can't tell us exactly the formula, but what was going on in that room, and how do we use this application of silver? Because I keep seeing more and more, there's so many polarizing opinions on the use of silver, right? Because people have been using it since the dawn of time, in many different ways, which maybe you can mention a few, but there's just it's so polarizing, and dare I say, regulated the way that we speak sometimes on various different channels, that it's nice to have a podcast where we can really talk about what consumers are seeing, what uses have actually been, proliferated with this product, and with let's just say with silver, and then into this product over time, results and feedback. I have so much feedback about the products, and I want to be able to just share honestly with the audience, the journey of Silver to Silver Sol, and why it is helpful in these topical products.
Yeah, for sure. We kind of think of it over here as a gift. We really do. The product was basically invented 27 years ago. And through a family, Bill Moeller was the family father, and he basically stumbled into this process, and this patented process to make silver safe and effective. And so we are very, very grateful as a company to be able to share this with the public. It's like you mentioned, the lightning bolts. We have a patented process that uses really, really super high energy. I mean, we're talking about thousands and thousands of volts here to actually strip these little particles of silver from pure silver wire in this case. I mean, it's as highest purity as you can get of silver. It's 5.9 silver, which is 99.999% silver. And we take those those lightning rods and we pull these little particles off. But the magic of the process is while we're pulling these little tiny particles of silver off, it coats them with a special coating. And it's the coating that actually makes it highly antimicrobial. But in the center of that coating is a pure metal silver particle. And that's the magic of it, because the interaction between that core of silver and the outside coating of it makes it, number one, highly antimicrobial, and number two, it makes it very safe for the body.
Yeah, and these are things that I think people are always talking about. Is silver safe? And I'm in the historical sort of background of using silver, like silver coins and things like that. If you talk about from a metallurgy standpoint, et cetera, do you think that there's some of that nervousness around how we use silver in our health and how it can be healthy is because it was mixed with other things back then?
Back in the day, the old adage is way back in probably medieval times that, that child was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And that's true, because back in the day, the royals and, the people who had the money had silverware. And that's kind of where we got, we still use the same term today. Mm-hmm. But by doing that, they were probably taking silver off of their silverware and using the silver properties to, combat pathogens, combat disease. And so that has come down through history.
Utensils, right?
Yeah. Just kind of, eating with the utensils, you would be taking some silver off of that, which would give you that health benefit for sure back in the olden days. Mm-hmm. And it's come a long way since then. But there's some silvers out there that, that I would actually caution against as well. The wonderful thing about our silver is we get to do what other silvers do with a lot less silver per se, and our particles are much better at doing what they do at a lower concentration. The maximum concentration that we use is 35 ppm, because we've also found out that any silver, including ours, if you go above that threshold of about 40 ppm, it actually starts to harm probiotics. And so we stay under that level, and so we don't harm probiotics whatsoever. And there's a lot of things, that goes around, that turn people blue and things like that. And if you're making this silver by yourself in your garage or something else like that, there's a possibility to do that. But our silver is different, and I can explain a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah. And I would like you to. I also because when I toured the facility, the thing that I noticed was it's spotless. It's like absolutely pristine in the building, and it just makes you feel like everything is being so well crafted in there, in that space. Even just where the inventory is and all of that was like really, it was impressive, because I was like, oh, it's going to be like a warehouse. And it was sort of like a warehouse, but it was like a medical lab level clean warehouse, which makes you feel in general, I think, better. And I do want you to elaborate a little bit on the silver, the differences, between Silver Sol, this technology, just from either a molecular basis or how the body works with it.
Yeah, for sure. We pride ourselves on our ability to keep our establishment very clean, and we've had lots of regulatory bodies in there, and they always comment about, we weren't expecting to be this clean, and we're going, well, this is what it should be. So this is what we do. But anyway, so we'll kind of get into it a little bit. There are basically, in our realm, there's basically two types of silver that's out there. There is something called ionic silver and something called silver particles. A lot of the silvers out there are what we call ionic, which means basically it's a silver atom that stripped away its electrons, so now it's an ion. We call it ionic. And it is dispersed in water. It's actually soluble in water to make a solution. And it's that one single silver atom that can cause problems. It actually, they are so small that they can actually accumulate in the body, and over a long period of time, they actually accumulate in the adipose tissue underneath the skin, the fat underneath the skin. And that's where, you've heard of the blue man. That's what he had done over years and years and years of making his own silver, making it ionic, and it just tended to stay in his body. And it actually, when the sunlight hits it, it turns like photographic film. And so it turned him blue. Now, that's not a disease process, but I don't think it was very attractive. And so you end up with, that type of, you end up with that type of a situation. Our particles are made that they actually go into the body and they actually go out. They leave the body within 24 to 36 hours. And so by having that, going in and out, it's a very safe product. We've done some studies, of course, that where you would have to take into your body, I'm going to say hundreds of gallons in order to reach that toxicity level that you would with ionic silvers.
Yeah, so it's just much safer for the body to use. And we did talk about this sort of ingestion of it and things like that on the first episode, which in the show notes, we'll put a link to that as well, so people can get some more information about that. Today, I want to talk a little bit more about the topical use of silver gel and like how it is being absorbed into the skin and why we might use it in one of the, if you guys are watching on video, I have these handy dandy tubes here of the things that I use, the Silver Biotics Silver Gel, which is this wound dressing gel, which I use, and I'll share all the ways I use it off label. I asked Steve before we started recording, can I say all the ways I'm using it that's like outside of the labeling? Because I've had some really beautiful success with this. I think also, people using it, well, we'll talk about that more as it comes, but like, tattoo artists and things, you hear about different places to use it and all the places I go. And then this Recover Cream, which smells amazing and also is really super helpful when it comes to sports performance, muscle strain, or just like when I'm getting after it and I'm like lifting hard or with clients that are lifting hard at the gym, I'm always saying, hey, this is the thing to throw in your bag. So I want to talk about the topical use of silver, right? And it as a differentiator from what we spoke about last time. And how is silver helpful to skin and musculature in that way?
Well, again, it's antimicrobial. And so, of course, our skin is just full of bacteria. I mean, there's all kinds of bacteria. And we walk, we run, we play, we get dirty. And all those things, are filled with bacteria, yeast and molds. And so with our silver gel, we actually have a 510K FDA cleared wound dressing, which is our, kind of a portion of our silver gel. And so for topical application, it's cleared for lacerations and for second-degree burns, sunburns. It basically does what the immune system normally would do, but it does it a lot faster. And what I mean by that, when you abrade a skin, when you cause injury to the skin, how does it grow back? Well, it grows back from one side to the other side, and the cells actually migrate back together and close that gap. And then it starts building up layers. Well, what happens in normal life is there are bacteria, yeast, and molds that are on the skin that actually kind of get into the wound bed and cause problems, cause disease, and cause all kinds of problems in that wound bed. And it doesn't let the cells migrate across like they should normally to close the wound. And so what the gel does is it actually takes care of all those pathogens. It takes care of all those microbes that are going to cause that response that won't close the wound. And so what it does is actually aids in healing, and it kind of speeds things up because the bacteria, the microbes aren't there to slow the process down. And so your scarring is less, there's less inflammation. Amazing. It was about 2 months ago. I was in my garage working like I like to work, and I cut my tip of my finger almost off. And I'm going, oh, this is not good. So, and so I basically, kind of washed it out, and I stuffed it full of gel, and I closed the wound. And 2 weeks later, it was all healed up. I probably should have gotten stitches, yes. But I decided not to and just kind of Band-Aided up, and I just kept, stuffing it with gel whenever chance I, changed the Band-Aid. And in 2 weeks, it was all closed up and healed up, and I don't have a scar, which was amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. I remember using it. I took this trip to Hawaii for a month with my biohacking bestie, and when we were there, you just get sunburned. You get out, and there's rainbows. There's so many things to see and do, and the sunburn was really, I can't reach my back fully or walking, and it's behind you. All the things happen, and I got just that sunburn on the backs of my shoulders so badly, and so he was putting it on all the time, and I was just amazed how quickly the sunburn felt better. It was like started one day later and was like gone by the second day completely, and really felt like it was something that I could put on, like over time, I think about other things that I would put on for various things, lacerations or sunburn or, the off-label uses that I really use a lot for are, I use it around electrolysis or waxing or razor burn, acne, like just sort of feel like there's that movie with it's like My Big Fat Greek Wedding where the dad's like putting Windex on everything.
Windex.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And so it's like,
Great.
okay, great. Let's just use this for so many things. But when it comes down to understanding how the mechanism of action is that every time I've used it on any of these things, it's increasing the speed of the healing. It's increasing the ability for the wound to get better faster. So it's amazing to hear that you put it on and then you're like, I didn't really get stitches that I needed, but that it's helpful in that way. And are there other ways that you're seeing people use this? Like I hear when you're talking, I'm like, oh, here's what I hear for usage. Like I think about my friend. I have a good girlfriend of mine who's one of Naisha. She's been on this podcast and she's on with Gordon Ramsay on a television show with all these young chefs. She came out of the top chef world, and I'm thinking, wow, I never thought about the application. If it's working for my sunburn, it could work for like burns in the kitchen. It can work for. You guys have a beautiful pet gel that's a very similar product that I imagine really works well for pets. So just wonder if you had a few anecdotes of other areas or off-label areas that you might have also heard outside of that people are utilizing the wound dressing gel.
Well, I don't know if I shared this story with you last time, but for the pets, I used to have this old alley cat, tabby cat, just outside cat, just torn up all the time. And he came home one day and he had this big scab on the top of his head. And I'm going, oh, that doesn't look good. It was all puffy and everything else. So I kind of, got the scab worked off, and there was a hole about the size of a pencil eraser on the top of his head. And I looked in there and I could see bone, and I'm going, uh-oh, this cat's in trouble. So I thought, oh, all right. So I took a tube of gel, and we actually have a product called Pet Vet, and I squoze it in the wound. And I'm thinking, well, all right, let's see what happens, the fur all puffed up and stuff like that. And I thought, all right. 2 weeks later, he was healed. He was fine.
Wow.
The wound was closed, no inflammation, no trip to the vet. I mean, it was, that was a kind of a fun experience to actually say, hey, this stuff really works on pets as well as it does on people.
Yeah, and the notion of these other topical creams that are out there for things like this, like I grew up on bacitracin or neosporin or other things, and I wonder if you have anything to unpack around those types of things, either kind of not letting air pass through or having other ingredients in them that maybe aren't so good for us. We had this conversation around toothpaste because your toothpaste is so incredible. And I looked up all the reports before we spoke last time of all the things that are in, like surfactants and things that are in, the normal Colgates of the world. And I was like, what? Anyone I talk to that you go and you stay at your friend's place or whatever, and you're like, well, you can't be using this toothpaste brand. You have to go get something that's workable, like the Silver Biotics toothpaste. But are there things in the neosporins and the topical things of the world, the bacitracins, the triple antibiotics that are just not actually doing the service of healing the cuts, wounds, scrapes, burns as well?
We've done some testing with the triple antibiotic ointments, the neosporin, bacitracin stuff. And what we found out was kind of interesting. We found out that our gel acts as a barrier, and it doesn't let things in, well, for one thing, and it, destroys microbes on the other part. What we found out is that the use of those petroleum products, along with the antibiotics, they actually do their job very quickly, and then they're done. Where our product it sticks around, and there's plenty of silver particles in there to keep doing its job for hours and hours and even days. Whereas the other ointments, they actually kind of, wear out after a very short period of time. And then because of its properties, they actually start to harbor bacteria. So you have to change that.
In the ointments,
more,
if not like Vaseline style ointment, yeah.
Yeah, you have to change them much more often than what people realize, like within hours, or else what it's done, and then it starts to not do you any more good.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's why also I'm always like little acne, little dot here, little dot there. And I'm wondering if that's why it's also helpful in that way, because I will do a couple dots on just right where I have the pimple or something before I go to sleep. And then, yeah, I just noticed that it doesn't ever really get to a place where it forms like a whitehead or it gets really gnarly or like there's just like it's kind of calming the skin or the system of the skin, where when you have that little eruption we all know when it's coming. We all know
Yeah.
when there's something coming. It's like, oh, something's under the skin here. And so it's sort of getting to it before it gets too out of hand. And then I just notice that it goes away. It's almost like like the old adage, like we dab a little something on it and it moves through the skin. And this is our face. This is how we're presenting ourselves to the world. Like I work with so many females in this landscape that all different age ranges. So they're either navigating things from supplements or medication or detoxing, or they're, adult acne and whatnot. So I found it really helpful in that regard.
Well, one thing too that we've noticed, we've had some, people comment that, especially this time of year, especially in Utah, it's very dry here, very cold and very dry. What happens to people's hands and feet and things like that is they literally dry and crack open. And by applying the gel, it heals that wound, and it actually supplies the moisture so it doesn't allow that to further, complicate and become infected. So that's one, use that we've seen too, is that dry, cracking skin in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's just like, I know that everything you guys are doing is so just whole body healthy that it always feels like if I'm like, I'd rather take this and put it on something than try something new. So just being able to use it for that winter skin. And I know we're doing this retreat in 2 weeks, all up in over the frozen lakes region in Wisconsin. And people will be very happy to have that there for sure. And even like, I was like, look, I was so prepared for the show. I was like, I have my little travel one. I have to use it home because I'm on the road quite a bit. And so I love these travel sizes and just, having something. And, it's not always me. Sometimes it's like I'm doing something with like a breathwork and cold exposure thing, and someone sort of scraped themselves on the ice bath, or like, whatever happens, right? Things happen all the time. And then I'm like, whip out my handy dandy gel and, helping people besides myself as well.
Well, and when I was traveling up in New York, that was one thing that was interesting. One of my colleagues up there, she had some really bad eczema she's from Canada, dry, cold. And I said, well, try some gel. And so she took the gel, and it was a couple weeks later, she said, I'm out. I need some more. My eczema is, pretty much gone. The dry skin is taken care of. The irritation is gone. Please, I need more. So it's a wonderful thing, to carry it around for other people that have that need.
Yeah, so amazing. Let's switch the focus a little bit to the sports performance piece, because Recover is one of the newest things in your product line and your arsenal of tools. The packaging is so beautiful. There's so much white packaging. This one's like a little stealth, gym friendly, like black packaging. I really love. And just understanding the ingredients in Recover, because, when I never really used Bengay, but certainly like in my parents' era, that was like a big thing. And then there's all these different types of creams and lotions and gels, and even things that are sort of that like Vaseline, petroleum jelly based stuff that quite often has some medicinal / overly minty menthol taste and smell. You could probably eat it and it's clean enough that nothing would happen. But with Recover, it's just like the smell it has a beautiful like fresh mint smell, and it doesn't really there's no like medicinal or chemicalized scent to it, so I really love. But I want to break down the ingredients that are in it. Arnica is the one that stands out the most to me, because I think there are many occasions that I've like, it's not even about dropping a weight. It's just sometimes, because I try not to drop weights on myself, but sometimes when I'm training, you have like the cable running against your arm in a place that's like rubbing, or you're like the kettlebell on the backside. Oh, that's a big one. When like I'm doing some kind of kettlebell work, and the backside of top side of my wrist is just getting bonked a lot, because you have to sort of callus that up and get really good at doing it where you're not hitting the wrist all the time. So I do get bumps and bruises all the way from the era of when I played ice hockey when I was in my teens. Not very well. I must say, not very well. I was playing with a whole group of like 10-year-old boys that were crushing me, but I really wanted to learn. And I was just like learning and hitting the boards and bruised all the time. So I wish I'd had that then, but I used Arnica, and it was always super helpful to help with like bruising. But even back then, it was a bit harder to find. I had to go to like the health food stores. And this has so much with like eucalyptus, clove, Arnica, menthol, jojoba, camphor, vitamin E. And is it jojoba? Is that how we pronounce it?
Yes.
Yes.
That is how you pronounce it.
I never fully knew. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not jojoba. It is jojoba.
Exactly. So will you break down a little bit of the understanding of why you put these ingredients together in Recover, and, just how they differ from some of these old school brands, not to call out brands, but I like to make sure people aren't using the old brands that have crap in them.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And the Ben Gay thing, that was icy hot is the big thing now, because, we get the big people on TV saying, icy hot and all that kind of stuff as well. But a lot of those ingredients were good ingredients, no question about it. And we use part of that. I mean, basically the thing with icy hot is ice, the product makes it feel cold, and then you get that burning sensation. And so we use some of those same things, the camphor and the methyl salicylate, and the menthol actually kind of does those basic things. And what that does, number one, it starts to increase your circulation to the skin. It's kind of an irritant. That's kind of what it does, but it brings the circulation to the skin. So we said, well, if we're going to have that same basic idea, let's put some things in there, some products in there that actually will absorb through the skin because of the increased blood flow and do some good with the underlying layers of muscle and fascia. And so that's kind of what we did. The glucosamine, it is actually wonderful for muscle regulation and for muscle healing as well. Because what happens when you tear muscle? I'm going back a little bit of my anatomy here.
This is good. This is good. I want to know also about what muscle regulation, what we mean about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what muscles do when you use them a lot, when you overuse them, they literally tear. They have micro tears inside the fibers between the actin and myosin molecules. Okay, now that's pretty deep. But anyway, so those molecules are broken. They're destroyed. They're not happy anymore. And so they need to be rebuilt, literally. And so you have cells that come into the muscle fibers and actually rebuild those proteins so your muscles keep working. And so the glucosamine actually helps with that rebuilding process as well. The botzuela, that is basically, it's frankincense. Mm-hmm. And frankincense has been used for thousands of years for its healing properties, and especially in skin and muscles as well. And so we put that in there. And it's very moisturizing. It has the jojoba, which is a nice natural oil to remoisturize and rebuild, skin and for protection as well. And so we tried to get a list of ingredients that would do separate processes at the same time be synergistic with each other as well. And so that's what we've really tried to do with the Recover. And as for the smell, the flavor, we tried to make it more, not gym-like, but we tried to make it a little bit more spa-like as well. So a little higher end type of is what we were looking for.
Yeah, and the scent it's more like something you'd smell in like a sauna or something in a nice way. Yeah, yes. So beautiful. And then there's silver in that, of course, and the all of these properties, like as they are soaking in and getting through the layers of the skin, and the silver is having the similar effects to the wound gel. Is there anything else that the silver does that is acting upon the musculature, or like that helps the recovery process move faster?
As far as we know, the silver is kind of an activator for cell reconstruction. And so, and there's been a lot of testing with that, and a lot of testing is so much testing left to do. I mean, silver has so many properties, and science is actually starting to really increase with the research into silver. And so with these properties of like engaging those cells to help reproduce themselves and things like that, that's being studied.
Nice. Amazing. Yeah. So I'm really liking it. It's like easy to throw in the gym bag. I know we're all, we're doing like yoga and training and cold and heat and all the things on this retreat. So we'll be definitely utilizing it all together. And like, yeah, I think that there's the opportunity for when people are really recovering as well, like in sauna life, to put a little bit of this on, creates that nice smell in the space. And then also just like really as it's opening your pores and getting into the skin, it's a way to kind of speed that up. A lot of people are doing this strength. I do strength training, and then sometimes I'll do what I wanted. If I'm skipping some cardio, I'm getting into the sauna so they can get that heartbeat up a little and get all the benefits of sort of, but sitting and using heat to create that cardiovascular effect versus, the Airdyne bike or something that I don't feel like doing that day.
Well, and you mentioned the arnica in there as well. And we love the arnica that we have in there. Arnica has been around, again, for many, many hundreds of years. And what people normally do is they take the arnica flowers and they make a plaster on it. And so they use that, and it draws out the bruising, and it makes that response of the flushing out of those of the blood, basically, because that's what bruise is. It's just blood under the skin and in the muscles, and it flushes that out, because it turns out that blood, when it's outside the blood vessels, is toxic, and it hurts. It causes pain, and so you need to get that blood that's been spilled out from the vessels back into the system and get that out of the tissues, so it will heal. And so the arnica really does a good job with that.
Yeah, yeah. And all those all the fun colors of the bruises that I just, even from hockey, I remember it's like the healing process of it all. It's just sped up so more quickly, from like the purple to the red to the yellows, and moving through that is so important. I love that. Can we talk a little bit about, I just want to mention this too, because I use this quite often when I'm traveling, but the spray, can you unpack just sort of the best use for this? It's immune support spray, so it's a slightly different than topical in this way, but just the best use of this spray. There's been some questions about it, and I want to make sure I'm getting it right, and we're all sharing about best ways to use it during the season too. When someone just wrote me again today and had to postpone a meeting because they're like, oh, that thing's going around again, and I got it, and I'm stuck in bed. So we'll talk next week.
Well, the vertical sprayer, the reason why we did that, of course, you can spray it in your mouth, is for the immune supplement. And what we found out is that the silver actually best enters the body through mucous membranes. And so under your tongue and down your throat, that's where the silver actually enters the body the quickest. And it will enter, through the esophagus and as well. And of course, a lot of people have said, well, what about putting it in other mucous membranes? And so those are kind of off-label, of course. And so you can just imagine where, it's very simple to use a vertical sprayer on other mucous membranes. And we've had great comments like, well, why can't you put that on the label? Well, because the regulatory body won't let us put it on the label. Well, is it safe to use? And I says, well, we have had many, many comments with very positive results, and we've had no negative interactions. And that's one thing about our silver as well, is we've been around for, 25 plus years, and we've never had any really bad reactions or complications or incidents to where people have had a bad result with using our silver.
Yeah, and I do. There's a couple women that I work that have some skin conditions, and eczema comes up a lot and things like that. And it's just the last thing you want to be doing is putting anything on you or in you that's going to create additional reaction. But yeah, that's just super helpful with the vertical sprayer, because again, it's the size of it that wins for me always, because I can throw it in my carry-on and they're not going to take it all out and make me give it to TSA. But yeah, people are saying, yeah, where can I use the sprayer? What parts? Like, where are all the things? Can I put in my ears for tinnitus? Can I put in my, what I mean? And so it's just good to say that the label use is for us to spray in our mouths, to use in the oral cavity for immune support. And I imagine it does a great job of coating the interior of the mouth too. It's like I'm just like on the go, and then I move on with my life. But they're all easy to apply, and it's been so beneficial to me over the years. Now our relationship of me using these and being connected with you guys is like spanning almost 4 years now. Can you believe it?
That's awesome.
So amazing. I was a toothpaste addict first, and then moved on to all these other ingredients. And then I think I was just saying to you that I sent all the pets in my family get all the pet products for Christmas, and they're like, I kind of wanted pet toys, but that's what they get from everybody else, and they get the whole pet healthy things from me. Yeah. So what else is coming up in the pipeline for y'all? What are you excited about? Are there any like athletic programs or universities or people you're working with specifically, either in research or just supporting through using Recover? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, we've got some universities that are local universities that are very interested in the product, and I think we'll be moving forward, giving them some product to use and things like that. We also have some brands coming up with that new toothpaste that we talked about last time that has the hydroxyapatite. We're moving forward with that.
Great.
And we're also moving forward with some things with a new label, a little higher end cosmetics, with some facial cleansers, some toners, and some, it's going to be a great set of products where people can start building a routine with it.
Yeah, I love that. So great. Can you talk a little bit about the hydroxyapatite that's going in the toothpaste? Like why it wasn't there before and what's happening now? Like why put it in?
Well, we were in the dark about hydroxyapatite for quite some time, and then we started to do some research on toothpaste because our toothpaste is wonderful, as you well know. It's really a great toothpaste. But what we found out is that some dentists were using hydroxyapatite for mouth rinses. And we thought, okay, let's investigate this a little bit more. Well, I did a really deep dive into teeth, and found out that basically the white things that are in your mouth they're made of hydroxyapatite. That is the main mineral for enamel. And I also looked around and found out that when you're young, you get your little baby teeth, that the teeth are just perfect. Unfortunately, we abuse our teeth all the time. And we found out that that layer of enamel that is sealed, that seals our teeth, wears away pretty quickly by the time we're probably in our 20s, depending on even teens. And so the way the tooth is made out of thousands of little tubes, little tubules. And now those tubules are now open to the environment. And guess what's the right size to sneak in there and start eating your teeth away? Yeah, bacteria. And the hydroxyapatite, the stuff that we found out that we're going to use, actually will fit in those little tubules and block them and basically remineralize that outside layer of your teeth. So we thought, well, yeah, what a great idea. So we started formulating toothpaste, and I've been using it for about 6 months now. And it has an
Need a test though. We can't get it yet still.
No, we're still testing. Yeah, we're still testing stability and all that good stuff we have to go through. But we found out it has kind of an amazing, after you brush your teeth with it, you have this polished effect on your teeth. It feels like you just went to the dentist and just had them polished. Smooth and clean. And we're going, that's amazing. So we decided to move forward with the formulation. So we're still in that stability testing right now to make sure it's going to last for years in the tube. So in case you use it very slowly, it will still be around good for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, I love that. So great. Innovation. This is another thing that speaks to is you guys are always innovating and iterating on top of the products that you have existing and then bringing new products in like the silver serum for the face and all of this Recover Cream. It's been, a joy to be around and watch the launch of this product. And all of those pieces. So thank you for sharing your wisdom, your science. I love how you also, every time we talk science, you're like, this is deep dive. I don't want to go too far into it, but you just always make science seem so approachable. You do that in that first episode. We broke down really a little bit of a deeper molecular understanding of silver. And I think people really were like, oh, refreshing. It doesn't feel like I'm in a science class that I can't understand. And is there anything else that we should be talking about from a Silver Biotics standpoint? Because I always want to close with a couple questions about you and biohacking and all the wins in your world.
Well, we as a company, we're in it for wellness. I'm getting old. I don't know if you noticed or not, but
none of us can tell really because you're just like out there going for it with every single sport and playing ref and all of that.
So my health and wellness is on the line as well. And so I want to make products that will, create my longevity as well. And my family, and so, I have children and grandchildren and some of them have skin issues. And so, I'm kind of formulating for them too. That's one of the caveats of what I do is like, hey, put this lotion on, tell me what you think. And so, they say, oh, it's great. And sometimes they say, well, you may want to tweak this and this. And so for me as a formulator, as a person, I love wellness. I love, sharing that with everybody.
Yeah, it's so amazing. It's like, it's just one of the tenets of your company for sure. And everyone who I've met from the business, this, I would be remiss not to say as well, like always with you guys have been so generous with like creating a code that's WellPower and then people get a discount off of every single shipment and they just love it, love it, love it. It's like my number one retreat gift that I give people as well. So it's great for holidays and giving out stuff to your favorite athletes and favorite biohackers, but also just to everybody because it's so simple to use. It isn't like this high technology. It's just a beautiful technology that's in these products topically, orally, and what and all of it, and then how do we gift this to people to start them on the train of being whole body healthy and really feeling into their better selves? And a lot of this is about getting the toxins out of our cabinets, right? Taking the future of wellness is what we take out of our body and out of our cabinets, so that we're not having things that, you know, I don't know what your stance on all this is, but I have a lot of conversation with some good female biohacker friends and whatnot that I think needs to be a conversation in the mainstream more and more, which is just this level of scents and that are just artificial and endocrine disrupting, and in cleaning products, and in, you know, in apartment buildings where the lobby is scented beyond belief, and the gyms are scented, and people are breathing this. And I have a favorite, a good smoothie place, which I won't name, here in Austin, that has these really fancy protein shakes with lots of wild and incredible ingredients. And then there's like a fragrance thing at the front stand by the register. And I'm always like, I'm the girl. You would be proud of me, Steve, because I'm going to tell you the story, which is I'm the girl that's like, what's on this label? What's in the scented thing? And I think I talked to you about this last time. I was like, I'm going to send you the list when they give me the ingredients to the scent that they were putting in this apartment building. And they kept pushing me through, like, it's generally recognized as safe. It's approved. Here's an FDA certificate. And I think I got 3 out of the full ingredients list, but they wouldn't even send me the whole amount of ingredients, which are in this scented thing that they're blowing into the lobby space of the apartment building that I was living in, that I moved out of. One of the many reasons I moved out, that I guarantee you is chemicalized. And this is the important thing I want to say about that, and I think you would agree, but correct me if I'm wrong, is like when a company's not really forthcoming about what is in their products, it's a time to be suspect that they could have chemicals or things that just aren't great for your body. So are you seeing this a lot? You know, it's like Febreze and Tide and all these things that are just no bueno for us.
Absolutely. I mean, if that's the first thing, well, my family kind of gets after me. You know, they say, well, yeah, here's a good product. So what do? I immediately grab the product and start going through the ingredient list. They say, okay, what's bad in this product? And I'm going, well, this and this and this and this is bad. And you never put this on your body. And why would you have this toxin as a preservative? Because it's what does it do? It kills things. Well, it kills you too. Yeah. And so, oh my heavens, what's out there is just incredible. I mean, if you look at, you can't, well, I can, but most people can't pronounce the scientific chemicals that are in some of that stuff. And I'm going, oh, it's, you know, as an organic chemist and a biochemist, I have no idea why people would use that. Our products are simple and they're easy and they're natural products that come from sources that are not petrochemical.
Yeah. And we see, I don't know if you feel like there's a couple big offenders that you would mention, but I think we see not just that not being able to read the label, but not understanding what these things are. And my assumption is, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, they're using these types of ingredients as like fillers or buffers or to do something that was a cheaper version of actually using a real ingredient that's nature is made organic or what have you, to be able to create the same effect because it's more expensive.
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Cheaper the better. And our products, they do have a little higher price tag than the other chemicals in the store you get in the store, but they are from a natural source. Yeah. But yeah, so much. There's just so much out there. We have companies come to us all the time and say, "Hey, we want you to make this for us, and then here's the ingredient list." And I go through it and I go, "Well, why are you putting this in, and why is that in?" You can substitute, here and there, and you can get rid of half the ingredients and have a better product.
Yeah. And are there offenders? Are there like 1 or 2 big offenders in like either topical or ingredient lists, or things that you see that are just like, hey, people, if you're seeing this in your current products, this is a no-no?
Oh yeah. The preservatives, I have a really hard time with preservatives because our silver acts actually as a preservative in all of our products, as well as, doing good. Yeah. And so, the phenylhexanol, the sorbates, the benzoates, and all of those things, they're toxic. They're supposed to be. They're supposed to kill.
Shelf life, right, or something. So they're killing anything that would be bacteria ridden.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like a good attempt, but not really doing what the body wants. Like keep it on the shelf longer, but it's going to be detrimental to my physical body, which is not great. Okay, good to know. This is all important. So if you're finding any of those ingredients that Steve just mentioned here, trash them, Trash them, please. Not good for your body. So I want to ask a question just about biohacking, because I know you will, or just health optimization in general. Is there something that you're using right now outside of the world of Silver Biotics that you're just absolutely like loving as part of your routine? Something that you're really, hot for right now, or maybe you've been doing it a long time that you really believe in is something that bolsters your willpower, that helps your health optimization almost daily?
Well, I try and try and get my heart rate up. That's as a product. I've started I've been using a commercial soap for all of my life, and I've started using all natural soaps. And I think that's probably the key for me. I found out it actually cleans better and acts as a deodorant as well. And I'm going, well, how come I haven't been using this for years? My daughter is one of those people that is a very all natural person, and she gifted me these soaps, and I'm going, it looks, okay. And so I started using it just to satisfy her, and I'm not going to ever stop using it. An all natural soap from now on. It does a better job.
Yeah, so great. Yeah, and with you and all your background and everything, I would think that you're like, okay, cleanest soap I can find.
It took some convincing, but I thought, well, all right, I've used this for all my life. I'll try something else. And sure enough, it works.
Cool. And then what are you doing to get your heart rate up every day? I think that's a great piece of advice for people, is like just for mental, emotional, physical, all of it, is to really moving lymph, everything.
Well, I'm at my desk for, some time, but I go into my lab and I play in my lab, and I never sit down in my lab. But our building is 66,000 square feet. And so we've made, kind of a place where you go around the center of the building, and I get up and I go walk at least once, probably every half hour. I'll take a lap around and then come back and go back to work again. My mind's clear, my heart rate's up, I feel good, and I sit back down and I go back to work again. So yeah, that's what I do in the winter time, because it's a little cold outside. But as soon as it warms up, I'm outside.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, it's like the Pomodoro break. I think that's really important for people to remember. I notice this when I'm sitting in my office. I do a lot of solo work, in my office, my home office. So it's like getting out gets me around people, gets me into a different feeling, different headspace, little pumping of the heart, little oxygenation and all that. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Keeping it real for us, Steve. I love that. So if anybody has any questions, where can they find Silver Biotics?
We have a website, silverbiotics.com, and there's a chat in there, question answer in there, or you know what, just call the number on the office, and I get several calls a day that get patched into me, and so what about this, and what can I use it here, and and that kind of stuff. So yeah, feel free to get on that in the chat, questions, or just give us a call. We'd love it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when people are curious about their health, and then they get to learn, and then they get to share with all of their friends. So beautiful. So if you are so inspired as I am by Steve and the business of Silver Biotics, just it's been such a beautiful company for me to learn from. And this is like the dream of a podcaster, is I get to learn so much. It's the best education I've ever had about how to take care of my body, my mind, my spirit, my soul, and meeting people like you who have wild adventures in their lives and this incredible product line. So today we talked about the silver gel, the wound dressing gel, the Recover for sports performance. We talked a little bit about the vertical sprayer, and a little bit about, of course, we talked about the toothpaste, because Kristen cannot stop talking about the toothpaste. And I'm so thankful to have you here and just have you all in my life. Shout out to Kelly, who's always connecting the dots for us and making magic happen, so that I don't have to call you every day and be like, tell me more, Steve. She can help sort things out for us. So I appreciate
She's amazing. We love Kelly.
Amazing. I had to shout her out on the podcast. So much love to you and the team, the lightning room and everything. And I hope it keeps going strong, and people will be able to find you at silverbiotics.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.